Okay. Hi, Dimitri. How
Hey
are you
man,
today? How are you doing
I'm
today?
good. I'm good. How you doing, man?
Very good. Okay, so we're going to talk today about your disintegration meeting last night on October 29th.
Yep.
And what was
Um,
the topic? What was the main theme of last
well,
night's meeting?
what came up was doing psychedelics in sort of formal group settings. So there's tripping at a rave or a house party or whatever, and then there's tripping in a circle, which a lot of the medicines are administered that way. Um, the reason it came up is someone had done, I think, their sixth ceremony, and in 2 months, and he was doing 3 nights in a row, and the first five were beautiful, and then the sixth was a nightmare for him. And there's a few people that had just come back from group ceremonies. So it was a nightmare because he got really triggered by other people's energy. And so that brought up a conversation about, doing it one-on-one, which, I've experienced, and I provide one-on-one sessions, and then doing it in groups, which I've experienced, and I provide group sessions. I think there's first of all, there's an economic reason to do it in groups. If you got somebody who's going to stay with you for 4 to 8 hours and take care of you, that's going to be much more expensive or far less profitable. And I'm not saying this in any sort of derogatory way or accusatory way, but it's just going to be, kind of expensive or less profitable to do a one-on-one. So I think that's a pretty big reason to do it in groups. I mean, even in Gabon, where sometimes they do it in groups, sometimes they do it individually. I've seen folks double up or 4 people get in on a ceremony, because it would be more economical. I mean, Gabon, you got to pay for the musicians, the food for people who are holding space, the medicine, people's time. So I've seen folks where Europeans or Americans would come and then they'd put locals with them because it would be a way to get it. So, I mean, there's an economic factor. And there's also, what comes up in a group dynamic. So, tripping in a group can really be beautiful. You can, be rooting for somebody who's going through a difficult time. You can see your interactions with that person, and you can all sort of be on maybe even have a synchronistic experience visually or auditorily or spiritually. And then, you can feel a connection. And then that whole process of doing something together and getting over something together and then processing it together is very powerful, very beautiful. And then it could be the worst fucking shit in the world. I mean, you can be, let me say, it can be a difficult experience. I'll get to the worst shit, right? Meaning that you're triggered by everyone in the room. Someone's making too much noise. They're laughing, they're crying, they're throwing up too loud. They're taking up too much space. They bump into you. All this shit gets hypersensitized. And there is an opportunity to work through your own shit. Oh my God, I think that someone was talking about how they thought someone was such a narcissist during their whole fucking trip. And then the next day when they drank again, they realized they were the narcissist, right? I mean, which can be great. You can actually, you can say, oh shit, this is how I deal with people. This is my relationship. When I hear someone in distress, for instance, which can be really fucking painful too, hearing someone who's really going through some bad shit. I've had that experience where someone who I was close to was having a hellacious experience, and it was really fucking with me. And eventually what I realized was I was tripping and I couldn't do anything about it except for pray for them and hold on for dear life, which is kind of what we do in life. We pray and wish our friends weren't suffering and then hold on for our own asses. I mean, you can get a lot out of that. And then there's people that have a really bad experience that it's sort of hard to contextualize as being good. I mean, that's the goal, after all, for all of this, is to try to find the good in something. But someone was relating how they were completely triggered, completely angered by the behavior of somebody else in the room. They didn't feel safe. in the container. They didn't feel that people were providing a safe space. The woman was making noise and singing. Even when he tried to get away from her, his feeling was that she followed him around and even flashed a light in his face and really triggered all his childhood abandonment stuff, his shit with women. And he was into some dark shit and was not happy. I think one good thing is that he was able to talk to the group and then talk to Brian Murphy, who's an amazing therapist. And I think the thing is that in his particular case, and I think this is a problem often, he was looking for what does it mean? And I think looking for what does it mean, it's like looking for the source of trauma. It could be just this incredibly frustrating, unachievable goal. And what Brian sort of brilliantly asked is, he said it's not the right question. The right question is what needs to happen next in order for you to be better? And what are the process? And then we were able to help him process that sort of spiritually, intellectually, emotionally, just to kind of take care of himself. So group setting is tough. Like when I do a one-on-one, I'm doing an incredibly tailored thing. I'm like watching the person, I'm playing music and sounds specific to them. If someone freaks out, I can take a lot of time with them. If I got 9 people and maybe 1 or 2 assistants, depending on the medicine, then it's a different experience. And it can be, as our friend on Curb Your Enthusiasm say, pretty fucked up. Yeah, I mean, and there's no real way to tell whether that's going to happen. I think the most important thing is that you do the research beforehand, make sure people run a tight ship. I mean, I've heard of like crazy things, crazy stories where people were just allowed to sort of run and scream and do anything they want. It becomes this fucking chaotic event. I have been at events that were too big, in my opinion, 50 people, and people got carried away. It was like a kind of a shit show. And I've been at big events where it was curated very well. So, I mean, I think it's the first thing is like really do the research and have trust in the container. But even sometimes in a good container with really good people, shit happens. People freak out, and that will affect your trip. I think increasingly it is the way, not even increasingly, it is the way that it's done. I think mainly because of economic reasons. And that's sort of dictating it. But it's very different than doing it alone.
Okay. So, and the main reason why it's very different is the dynamic between the individuals who are participating in this, or? Yeah,
it's like when you're done with it, getting back from an ayahuasca retreat, or you've been meditating in the mountains, and you get on the subway, or you get in traffic, and then, it's great to be a monk until you got to deal with some other asshole, right? And that asshole's tripping next to you, right?
Yeah.
And that's when your humanity gets tested. And
sure.
Sometimes it's a great learning experience, and sometimes it just fucking sucks.
Right. Or for whatever reason, this made me think of my favorite Mike Tyson quote. Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face.
I love Mike Tyson. Yeah.
So,
I mean, I love everything about him, but I love what he's become. I think it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So now you mentioned a little bit earlier before we started recording about how this would also work with in a family setting. You want to talk
I've
about
had that. Yeah, I mean, again, I think that's sort of, that just sort of magnifies it. If we're saying that, like you just sort of summed up, that the energies of other folks are going to affect you. It's like the little boy with the curl in the middle of his head. When he was good, he was very, very good. And when he was bad, he was terrible. Okay. And so, I've done family sessions that have been absolutely beautiful, healing mothers and children and husbands and wives and husbands and husbands and wives and brothers and sisters that have been really great, and some that have not been so great. So I think that also sort of depends on medicine. I think that this is happening a lot because couples go away, families go away. I remember doing an ayahuasca ceremony with my now ex, and I had processed all my shit and everything was fine, and I was just laying there smiling, and my foot accidentally touched her foot and she kicked me. Okay. You know, get the fuck away from me, motherfucker. Anyway, but I've seen beautiful things, but you know, I would be really careful, especially with sort of higher, like the Ibogaine thing, since it's so long and so intense. I've really screened folks, and for the most part, it's been good. But I've screened folks and had people really think about whether they want to be in that room, whether they wanted to be in that room or not. With somebody else who's in the same experience. So, you know,
how do you screen somebody?
We have long talks about it with folks. I mean, it's not even me screen. I sort of help folks self-screen. Just like go through all the possibilities. Like, look, this may come up. This may come up. You know your reaction. What's going to be? You know, even like I think with parents, particularly mothers, in my experience, and my experience of it. I've done mothers and children, which has been amazing, but it's usually been the mothers worried about the kid the whole time. So if there's that relationship going on, if there's a caretaker relationship, it doesn't have to be mothers. You could be brother and sister or partners or other, but that's going to still exist within the experience. So I worry about the mother's experience. Mothers are worried about their kids if the kid's, you know, 2 houses down or half a continent away, which is like something like I'm really interested in. Exploring, you know, just like as we emerge, like what we do with, you know, child care during these periods, particularly, you know, any kind of parent, but, you know, I'm being binary here and saying mothers, because I'm old and I'm binary as fuck. Anyway, I'm trying not to be. Yeah, so, you know, just like really have, what I do is I have long conversations with folks and explain, like, look, if you're a caretaker, maybe it's a good idea for you to take care of yourself. And if you're really annoyed with this person, or the person's really annoyed with you, you got to decide whether that's the space. I just had 2 brothers that had a very difficult childhood, and the one was sort of abusive of the other one when they were younger, and, you know, the conversation of whether this is the right space, you know, for that.
Did those brothers go through the experience?
No, they did not. They did not.
Okay. And did they decide not to do it because of the screening process you went through?
Yeah.
Okay.
They did it separately. That's fine.
Oh, they did go separately.
But I've had amazing stuff with folks together, family members together, couples together.
Okay. All right. Is there any one positive experience that comes to mind when you think about that?
Yeah, I did a session with a mother whose son was somewhere on the scale. Right, Asperger's probably, brilliant kid, and it was great. I mean, they both got to tell each other a few things while they're lying there, including "back off, mom," and "Mom, you know, no, I'm not backing off at this time, but you're right about that time." And I think their relationship greatly improved. So
really?
that one I can think of right off bat. Yeah.
Okay, and did you have follow-ups with them after?
Oh yeah, I've kept in touch, and you know, it was a breakthrough for him personally, for both of them personally, and then sort of as a family as well.
Okay.
She was a single mom too, so that's you know, and the kid was a grown young person in the early 20s, so tough, you know, that bond with the single parent, you know.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, was there anything in particular from last night's session that stands out?
You know, just do your homework and know, you know, that you're gonna have to deal with some other motherfucker. It's life, baby. You know, yeah.
Yeah. Seems to always be the case, right? Okay, so I guess let's wrap this one up then. Sounds like you had a good session last night. Some good positive came out of it.
Absolutely.
Group sessions and even with the family, you know, I mean, you know, there seems to be, at least in my experiences, maybe I'm just being a little biased, it seems to me that, you know, this is a kind of a taboo topic in some families. You know, children tend to be a little apprehensive talking about things like this with their parents. So it's nice to hear that, you know, when you can bridge that gap and actually have this experience together. I mean, I just think personally, what an experience would be like to do this with one of my parents while they're still here.
Yeah, I would love to.
Yeah,
I would love to. Yeah.
So, all right. So your disintegration group, another successful one last night. You want to talk about where are we going to find you and how they can?
Yeah, you could go to my website, and you know, you can click on and get tickets, get a seat in advance, or you could come. Of course, I don't know the address yet. I've just been going there forever.
I got the address right here.
Oh, you do? You're so good.
I'm ready.
It's an open-hearted, intelligent, compassionate space to process, to learn about, and to make community.
Okay, and that's every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. 116 West 23rd Street on the 5th floor.
You got it.
$30 for 90 minutes.
$30.
$30, yeah.
Dollars.
You could take the kid out of New York, but you know.
Yeah.
All right, 5th floor, $30, 90-minute session. You can reserve your spot online, or just drop-ins are also welcome.
Yep. Yeah, man, please come.
Okay.
And leave some comments down below.
On the YouTube channel. Okay. All right, Dimitri, thank you very much, and we'll check in again with you next week.
Right on. Thank you.
Okay. Ciao.